Hello, this is Sasha again, your conference chair. Or rather, it's me from a few hours ago when I recorded this closing. And if you are watching this, that's great news because it means nothing cataclysmic has happened in the last few hours of the conference that would require me to redo this closing. And so we've now made it to the end of the conference. This was our first conference on this platform, Venulous, and our last 9 were run on Hopin. And I'm happy to say that this definitely went a lot better than the first time we did a conference on Hopin. The first time we did that, the Q&A went so poorly that we had to cancel it after the first talk and then figure out a new Q&A process in the time we had before the second talk would end, and many more struggles. Venulous it had its own issues sometimes, especially on writing day. You might have noticed that we got somewhat confused by microphone, not microphone, headphones, leave audio, refresh your browser, who has presenter access, and how do you share your screen. But we've mostly worked that out, and for example, the lightning talks went pretty smoothly. Venulous's permission system can be a little obscure. One of the designers told me, have you ever tried to design a permission system that is very flexible and then it turned out very complicated? If not, then this is what it looks like. And it doesn't have great documentation either. I actually ended up locking out all the staff, including myself, from the conference platform. Fortunately, that happened before we were running the conference, so we had time to fix it. But we learn as we go along. And fortunately, I've known you to be a very patient and flexible community when we need to make ad hoc changes or when things don't go as we all planned. The music that you've heard in the breaks on the stage was once again the music by Christy Lutz. And on our social media, you may have seen the sketch notes of all the talks come by. Those were all made by Dennis Dawson. And Dennis and Christy are both community members of Write the Docs. So what is next now that this conference is almost over? First of all talks are recorded. They have been recorded, and they will be published about 1 week after this conference on our YouTube channel. This was, again, a quite frequently asked question that just seems to be a recurring thing that's part of running a conference. We would love to hear your feedback on the event, on what you think went well, on what you think we can improve, things you really enjoyed that you want us to keep doing, but also things that that you would like to see differently next time. I'm going to send a survey to all of you where you can enter your feedback somewhere this week, probably. If you've had good conference moments, then share them on your favorite social media with the hashtag WriteTheDocs. And also, you could publish a write-up of your experience at the conference or things you learned or your favorite talks, anything like that. And of course, also publish it on social media or share it on our Slack. Many cities around the world, about 30, already have a Write the Docs meetup. But if yours does not have one yet, then you could start a meetup in your own city. We have a number of resources for this. We have a specific guide to how to run your meetup well, but also how to get started with a new meetup. I recommend you find some other organizers to do this with. There are often many places that will sponsor you a space. And we also have Rose, who you've seen running our lightning talks and part of our writing day. Rose is also the meetup coordinator. So you can talk to her if you want to start your own meetup in your own city. In the beginning, I mentioned our code of conduct. At the time that I'm recording this, there have been no reports. This may have aged poorly by the time you're viewing this, but I don't expect so. However, you can make a report even after the conference. So if anything hasn't been reported yet, if you haven't reported it yet, absolutely feel free to do so after the conference as well. And for that, you can email us on conduct@writethedocs.org because this platform will no longer be available. And again, if you aren't sure if something is a code of conduct violation, but it just feels kind of icky, you feel weird about it, that is enough to report it. Please let us know. also so that we know what kind of things are happening in the community that we may or may not be seeing. Just if in doubt, email us. I'd like to thank all of our speakers who you've seen on stage for the last few days. They've all done a great job. I did not catch all the talks myself, but some of the things I've seen were really incredible. Of course, all the staff, our sponsors, and of course, you as attendees, because you're the people we make the conference for. Our sponsors this year for Atlantic were Gitbook, MongoDB, and HelpDocs. And our staff, this is actually the fourth version of the staff slide that you may have seen on stage. And I believe by now we have gotten everyone's name and location and photo correct. So there were a few small mishaps in previous versions. Because of course I don't organize this event on my own. I may be the conference chair, but there is a huge group of people, all of these people that support the conference, that organize in one way or another essential tasks. Some of them you've seen on stage a lot, like Carolyn, who was emceeing some of the sessions. But also many people do things in the background, like Julia and Cheryl, who run the transcription, who are transcribing me right now. Bart, who is running the AV stream, all content you've seen on the stage runs through Bart. Getting products for the writing day, getting sponsors, making sure the speakers show up to their Q&A on time, managing the unconference, moderating all of your questions and getting them to the MC. Many more things like that. There's a lot involved in running a conference, and it's only possible because we have such a good team of people who are very supportive towards each other and really care about what we're producing. We have some other events coming up. There's Australia in late November, and the talks are going to be announced very soon, probably even this week. Then Portland has already announced dates for 2025, which will be in early May next year in Portland, Oregon. Atlantic 2025, no promises yet, but I do think this is a very successful conference, so we will almost certainly have some kind of event next year. Maybe it'll be the same thing, maybe it'll be different. That also depends on your feedback and on what things you value in our event. So stay tuned on more about that. Of course, check out your local meetup if there is one already, and join our Slack, which has 20,000 people and many channels covering many different subjects around documentation and documentarians. If you want to stay in touch, use the Write to Docs hashtag on your favorite social media. Sign up to the Slack, as I mentioned. Also sign up to the newsletter, where we mail out once a month, typically, with a curated newsletter made by the newsletter team. And they take subjects from Slack and from elsewhere to bring you great content about documentation and documentarians. And finally, if you need to contact us, the organization, then you can always reach us on support@writetodocs.org. That concludes the conference. Thank you very much for attending, and also thank you for not just showing up, but also actively participating in the conference in the chat by submitting lightning talks, by really making this into a active, interactive community event. Like I said at the beginning, when we first did a virtual event, I was not so enthusiastic. I thought it was going to be bland and boring. But it is you, the attendees, and this community that really makes it a success for me. So thank you very much for that, and see you at our next event.